In this session, we will talk about new business models that have developed with the advent of IoT. And when I say new, I mean absolutely new. Before IoT or before sensors, these models were not existent or did not make sense. But with IoT, these models have become a reality. And when I say business models, I mean new ways of doing business or new ways of making money. So there are three new business models that have emerged with the emergence of IoT: data as a service, product as a service, process as a service. Let us explore each of these one by one. The first new business model is data as a service. By name, it means that you collect so much data that you see value in that data. It is rightly said that data today is the gold mine of any business. Be it data about your operations, be it data about your customers, be it data about your logistics. The entire set of data means a lot in today's world. With sensors, you're collecting data every instance, every moment. And when you're collecting data over a period of time, the data becomes really enormous. So enormous that it can give you great insights about your business. This is where data as a service takes form. As a business, you keep collecting data, and the insights you derive from the data not only help you in optimizing your business or making your processes efficient, but you can actually take this data to your customers either in the raw format or in the analyzed format. And when you take them to your customers, you can sell this piece of data for some money. Your customers are going to use data to make their business better. Let me give you an example. It is a widely known and accepted case that most supermarkets analyze the flow of people in the retail store. Where do people go? How do they walk between the aisles? Which are the shelves where they most likely pick up a product and put it into the shopping cart? All the traffic behavior is analyzed through cameras, through different sensors in a retail store. There's a lot of data that retail stores generate. And what do they do with this data? They convert it into data as a service. They take this data to the biggest FMCG players of the world. Players like P&G, Unilever, and so on. The retail store takes the data to FMCG players and they sell it, or rather offer it as a service. FMCG players are more than happy to lay their hands on this data because this data gives them insight about their customers. They can decide which shelves to bid for, where to place their products, how to get rid of competition, how to beat the competition. Data becomes a great source for business advantage. Data is competitive advantage. Thus, data as a service is one of the new business models that have emerged with IoT. The next business model is product as a service. There are two ways to look at this business model. One, from a service revenue generation perspective. Every manufacturer dreams of having service revenue. If you buy a television or if you buy a car, the manufacturer wants to get service revenue from you. But getting service revenue from end consumers is not easy. Companies don't generate as much service revenue as they expect. But IoT is changing all of that. It is using predictive analytics to increase the share of manufacturers in service revenue. Imagine you bought a washing machine. I'm using the example of washing machine because it's very important for the woman of the house. The sensors of the washing machine are monitoring the health every day, every time it is going through a run. This data is sent to the cloud. The cloud is getting information from hundreds and thousands and millions of washing machines. Imagine the power of analytics. Now, if the machine of your house is sending data which the analytics thinks may not be good for your washing machine, it creates an insight that if you continue to use your washing machine in similar way, in 6 to 7 days your washing machine will break down. So what does the analytics do? It sends you a message. Listen, your washing machine is about to break down. If you don't get it serviced or repaired, brace for a day when you will have no washing machine. Now this is a very powerful message. With this message, someone from the house is going to call the company, call the service mechanic and get the washing machine repaired. Predictive analytics can help increase the service revenue pie. Now this was an example of an home appliance. Imagine a business appliance, heavy instruments or heavy machinery like the cranes. These are all very important revenue generation equipment. If they break down, the entire business suffers. Customers or users of such machinery want servicing to happen on time. Predictive analytics can help increase service revenue. The other way of looking at product as a service is a completely new innovative way of selling. There are companies which used to sell products, but today they no longer sell products, but they offer it as a service. Car manufacturers, furniture manufacturers, they are all allowing you to use their product as a service. Uber is a great example. Uber doesn't sell cars, it sells you the service of using the car for transportation. There are companies which are no longer selling batteries or tires in the car. They allow you to use them as a service. So you pay for only that much that you use. You don't invest upfront in buying the product. This is a total innovation in business model because of IoT. If you didn't have sensors to track the usage, you wouldn't be able to bill your consumer. But because you now have sensors, you have an alternate way of pricing and taking money from your consumers. Your consumers may not want to buy something upfront, so you give him an alternate to pay on a monthly basis. Thus, product as a service is the second business model that has emerged with the advent of IoT. The last business model because of IoT is process as a service. Companies are no longer working with individual vendors. and building the process. They are outsourcing the process as a service. There are players who come in and take charge of the entire process, and the company pays only when the process runs for a unit. For example, let's take a bottling plant. The bottling plant owner pays for every bottle that comes out of the process. He will pay only as long as the process is running fine. As soon as the process stops, the bottles don't come out and the bottling plant owner doesn't pay. So whoever has taken ownership of the process, it is his responsibility to keep the process up and running. And they can do it only if they have the sensors implemented and if they are tracking the process from an end-to-end perspective. This is a third way that we have a new business model because of sensors and IoT. We have seen all the three models: data as a service, product as a service, and process as a service. It's allowing companies to look at different ways of doing business and different ways of pricing strategies.